Hey, this is Mike Lindsay from BioMX. I'm here with Dave Prater from Feld. You're the Vice President of the Supercross division, and we're here not only for Supercross, we're here for Motocross and the new SuperMotocross Championship. First thing to start on, like I said, it got brought up during the presentation, but this has probably been in the works longer than people realize. This has not been a knee-jerk reaction thing this year. I know from some contacts I have at OEMs, you guys have been having these discussions for around 2 years now?
Yeah, so anything like this and this big and substantial is going to take time. So it really started, you heard Kenneth say at the press conference, but it really started with COVID and the fact that Kenneth and Kerry came together and started sharing ideas on just how to salvage the 2020 season, both Supercross and Motocross. And through that initial contact and initial working through those initial challenges, it grew out of that. So when we first started this, there wasn't really an intention to go this big with Super Motocross World Championship. It was just more so, look, how can we get through COVID? And then past that, how do we grow the sport of Supercross and Motocross that much more? And as we went along that journey, this was born.
Nice. So I think since school, like your Supercross, your Motocross schedule, like I said, the integrity of those championships are still there. We're not going to talk about it too much because they're still their own entities in a way. The championships are still there. It hasn't really changed those schedules at all. We do have some different venues in Supercross, which people can check out. But big storyline today is Super Motocross. The fact that we now have a playoff championship. Yes, in some sports people like playoffs, some people don't. But I think the biggest thing is it brings, in my opinion, is we have two very standard championships. If guys run away with them, they're kind of a little dull at the end. Like the racing's still great, but the big storyline might be already wrapped up early. The fact that we have a playoff, as you guys mentioned, also the points are staggered where the final round still really counts in this 3-round series. Gives us something exciting, whether it's Super Bowl, whether it's Stanley Cup, the stuff I see stick and ball sports fans get fired up for months about if their rider, their team, their athlete's going to make it to that championship. We don't have that right now. Monster Cup was cool, good money, but it didn't hold the weight of a championship.
Right. And it didn't tie back to the Supercross and Motocross championships. And that's what we learned. Like as we went to market to shop the media rights collectively with Supercross and Motocross, that was the number one thing that we didn't just hear from Peacock, who we ultimately ended up with, but we heard with multiple media companies is, look, you guys need a Super Bowl. You need a playoff system. That's what the modern sports fan has come to expect. And we all know, like I'm a sports fan in general. I love stick and ball sports, racing, everything. Just a sports fan in general. And everyone knows that next level of excitement that the fans have when they go into the playoffs. So it was only fitting that once we went to the media companies and they're trying to build that viewership, that they're like, look, you really should consider this. And I'm just so happy that we made it happen.
Nice. And then kind of touching on a little bit, it is a 3-round playoff format. So let's talk a little bit about qualifying for it. You guys mentioned that if you're top 20 in combined points in either class, you qualify in 21st to 30th, or guys that have won a race season have the chance to go through the LCQ each night at those 3 rounds. How does it work out for somebody to reward them for racing in season? Is it a hard points reset, or if you've got, this year's a little unique with Tomac winning both championships, but like Anderson was really consistent across the titles. Chase was. Right. Does it reward guys that race both series all the way through?
Definitely. So the points will be reset, but they're not reset at 0. So for those top 20, we're going to reset them at 1 standard Supercross race points for it. So for instance, this year Eli won the regular season, if you want to call it that. He would start the playoffs with 26 points. Chase was second. He'll start the playoffs with 23. Jason Anderson was third. He'd start with 21. So it rewards those riders that do well within the Supercross and Motocross championship. So they're starting with an advantage, a seeded advantage, when you go into that first playoff round.
Other than position, similar to a NASCAR son, do wins add any bonus points going into it or no?
Wins do not. So our original concept was a win would count as well as a championship. And when we went to the OEMs and went to really everyone involved, because this has been a group effort, everyone decided, look, let's keep it as simple as can be. We don't want a playoff that's so hard to follow and the points are so all over the place that the average fan can't follow it simply. So we ultimately decided on just the one Supercross race worth of points. That's the reset. And we won't give bonus points for wins or for championships.
think the cool part there is, it comes and goes generationally. I think in the mid-2000s, we had a slew of a couple top names that went Supercross only, and then it kind of shifted back. We have a few names that are doing that now, and definitely the opportunities there, like Eli Tomac next year, based on what we've seen. He can probably do the Supercross championship. If he does like how he did this year, he'll make it in. But again, it's kind of leaning towards guys now to race all season. In a way, some fans have at times looked at Supercross and been bummed, like, hey, I'm a motocross fan. I'm very hardcore at heart. I hate the guys go Supercross only. But, I mean, you guys have sort of worked here with motocross to give people a reason to race both now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like your example with Eli. So perfect example, if he would have done that this year and only raced Supercross, he would have been seeded 8th going into the playoff. So he's at a disadvantage, but he's still got an opportunity to, at the end of the day, win the SMX World Championship. So it's possible that guys could race Supercross only or even motocross only, and still, if they do well enough, still get seeded into the playoffs. But they're going to be seeded at a much lower position, and they're going to have a much harder path to win the championship. So, but I think we'll see that. I think, Ricky and Jeff Stanton and Villapoto, we've been talking the last few days, and back really when Ricky and Stanton raced, and then not so much when RV raced, but he was an expert in both. Like, riders were expected to be an expert at not only Supercross and motocross. So I think you may see that a little more now with the collective, group coming together. It's more important to race as many events as you can in order to seed yourself high, so you're going into the playoffs with an advantage.
And then one more question on playoff qualifying. So we have 17 Supercrosses. We have 11 outdoor nationals. That means you have 17 main events in Supercross that pay points, but that means we have 22 motos of outdoors that are paying points. Does outdoors have an advantage? Do all 22 motos count against 17 Supercrosses?
Yeah, I mean, they do, and that's one of the things that we toyed with is, should we make it the overall? Should we just give points for the playoffs for the overall in motocross? But because there's a few more Supercross events than motocross events, we thought it was only fair to continue to give motocross points for both motos, and that goes into that ultimate season-long seeding position. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then last thing we'll talk about is SuperMotocross is, you said it is a 3-round series. Round 1 and 2 count, but you guys are putting a lot of emphasis on that third race. Can you explain how the points are working out?
Again, it really just went back to making it exciting for the fans. Like, we all have experienced it where a rider wins a Supercross championship and there's 2 or 3 races left to go, or a rider wins a motocross championship and the same thing. So we wanted to really build the excitement, really give those guys that maybe aren't doing so well, they may be in 8th, 9th place going into that World Championship final. You've got a chance now. With the points being tripled, you've really got a shot to win a World Championship if you can come through with a clutch performance and give it all you have on that final round, which is what most other sports have, and we've been missing. So now we have that as well.
Which I do have, I guess, one more on the venue. So we did announce that here, the legendary LA Coliseum will be our final round. We get the Parastyles back. Anybody who's a fan of Supercross from days, 90s is going to absolutely go fanatical over that. I think that was one of the first social media comments I saw. Somebody said, LA Coliseum, Parastyles, I'm sold. I want a ticket. The 2 rounds before, they are not announced. They will be in the next couple weeks, but I'm just going off rumors. I've heard talks about car circuits, speedways, different events. Yeah, this kind of looks like a Monster Cup. It is a hybrid. It leans a little more Supercross-ish, but it sounds like the other 2 events, we might get some really unique flavor with the tracks because it's going to be unique venues. It's not just another bigger stadium. Yeah,
definitely. It's going to be exciting. So they're going to be different venues. Both venues are different. We're not going to go into 2 other stadiums. There will be. I can't really. You're going to cause me to give it away here, but honestly, it's just super exciting that the 2 other playoff venues are that much unique from each other as well. So fans are going to go to that round 1 of the playoffs and see a completely different venue, completely different track layout, and then they're going to get to round 2, and it's going to be the same thing. Completely different venue, completely different viewers experience, completely different track layout. So super excited about that, and the next couple of weeks we'll make those announcements.
Cool. Well, congrats on the big announcement. I know anything of this size definitely takes a pretty massive amount of work. This is not an overnight situation for sure.
No, it was good, man, and we're excited about it, looking forward to the future, and I think together we can really grow the sport.
Cool. And I believe the website's live now, supermotocross.com. Everybody can find all the info as it gets released on those venues and such.
Yes, supermotocross.com. We're obviously going to continue with supercrosslive.com and promotocross.com. So all the information will be across all three, again, in a unified effort.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.